Hello, my name is Emily, as you may or may not know, and today it's a fan favorite, y'all. Another yapping video. I think I'm gonna call this one, Don't Hate Me After This. And technically that's not clickbait. I don't want you to hate me after this. I don't want you to hate me ever. Today, guys, is going to be very low-key, okay? I have to catch a train in about like 2 hours, so I'm literally just going to talk and make ramen. We're not gonna be doing any Michelin star meals here. We're not even gonna be doing anything that should be served in a restaurant, right? So yeah, I hope you guys still enjoy. And also, I do wanna remind you guys that February 12th, in a couple of days, my new short film is going to be out. So I really hope you guys will enjoy that too. I posted the teaser trailer in my last video and the sound got taken down. So we'll love that. Love that for us and everyone involved. But yeah. Great, moving on. Step one, and arguably the most important step of making ramen besides just having the ramen itself, you need to boil some water, okay? Ever heard of it? Have you guys ever done that? Boiling water, yeah, you seem like a boiling water expert. I bet you boil water a lot. Guys, I just want to show you how many thoughts I have. All right, we're starting at the top. I Googled, why do cicadas scream? And apparently it's male cicadas that scream to attract females. Ew, I hate the way I just said that. I sounded like an alpha male podcaster then. To attract females. That would not work on humans. If a man is screaming, that is rightfully a repellent. I am literally scared, right? Obviously, feel like I have a biased opinion because even if a man was speaking to me in a sultry, sweet voice and whispering sweet nothings in my ear, I'm still gonna, what's that called? Flap him away like a gnat because, well, I don't like men like that in general. So, but still, if a man is screaming as a mating call, even the straight women would be scared. Even the straight women would be scared. So let's be thankful that human males do not take on the behavior of male cicadas and start screaming as a mating call, right? I mean, I wonder, so what is the human male equivalent of a mating call or peacocking, right? Maybe when they do money spreads on Instagram, gym content. But then here's the thing about that too. I feel like lots of people say that gym content from guys is almost to please and impress other men, right? Because a lot of women, they actually like their men more or less flat Stanley. Right? They like they like a Timothy Chalamet sort of like could be knocked down by the wind. I don't mean that in a derogatory way because, hey, I could also be knocked down by the wind and that's actually happened to me before. Because if men did just scream to attract females in the way that male cicadas do, imagine if you're at the club, what, every single man there is just screaming. The decibel rate there would be so high that it would break the meter. Or like imagine, you know, a guy coming up to you in a coffee shop and he's like, you know, I'm sorry, you're just so beautiful. I feel like I have to, or I would regret it for the rest of the day. I think I'm done with this talking point because it kind of just doesn't make sense. Like, okay, great. Like, human men do not have the same mating calls as male cicadas. Awesome. I could say that about so many other species. But I would be scared, and a lot of us were scared. A lot of us were scared, hypothetically. Oh, this is something I wrote down. Do wrestlers ever get turned on during a match? Because it's a bit homoerotic. Let's just say, if I was on a women's wrestling team during my teenage years, I was about to say something really out of pocket. So I'm just gonna say it really fast and hope that I don't get demonetized. If there's a spot on the mat, hang on. If there's a spot on the mat, don't be mad at me. Right? Don't be mad at me. You're like all up on me. You're all up on me. We're wearing tights, but I'm just saying, thank God that I don't have a neener pumpkin eater because, well, I wonder if that ever does happen with guys who wrestle, and it's just sort of a thing that's like kind of just understood between them all, like nothing wrong with a little friendly competition boner. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where at like a boys sleepover, if some people wake up with morning wood, then that's just like the same thing as waking up with like morning breath, or, you know, with eye crusties, right? Hey, it's just Mother Nature's cocktail of things that were handed on a silver platter to men, right? I think that a lot of the times, and guys can get that way, like even if they could just be sitting somewhere with their head as empty as an abandoned venue, right? And they could still get bricked up for some reason. I shouldn't be talking about this in the beginning of the video because I think I'll get demonetized. Within the first 10 minutes, maybe that's okay. The water is boiling, so I'm going to put in the noodles. I feel like if I were a guy and I was just randomly, like, if I were a guy, I have a feeling I would just look down and I would be like, oh, hey there. Like, I would be, I feel like, I wonder if anyone has ever gotten that way. I'm just picturing myself in a situation right now where, what if I was watching like something so not set, like a 9/11 documentary, right? Or what if I'm at, you know, some sort of war memorial or this or that, and I'm genuinely not turned on, right? But then I look down and all of a sudden I'm standing at attention. Does that ever happen? Because honestly, I feel bad for you. I feel, clap if you feel bad. You know what I was thinking about? This isn't something I wrote down, but just something I thought about. I think talking this way online might ruin my chances of being taken seriously as an actress, but I think that I might be okay with that. I think that people can be like, hey, she's talented, I like what she does, but I don't have to be like a Julianne Moore or Tilda Swinton. I think it's Tilda Swinton, right? You know, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily the most graceful, and that's okay. And if I'm up for some sort of award, and when people Google my name and they're trying to look at the list of things I've done, if a clip of me going, is the first thing that they see, that's kind of my own volition, right? Are you a cat person or a dog person? Who cares? We're all gonna die anyway. So that was something I wrote when I was feeling really positive and very inspired, right? Comment down below, are you guys a cat person or a dog person? I've been told that I give off the vibe of a cat person more, but I feel like first of all, I'm a little bit allergic to cats, right? So I feel like I'm a dog person, and also I just feel like dogs, I don't like the way that looks. I feel like dogs, there's more of them. And this is me just being completely not educated on cats, right? But I feel like with dogs, there's, you know, like we've got the small little teacup rat dogs that I think are actually, in a way, biochemically engineered. I don't think that's ethical, I don't believe. And then you have big dogs like Mastiffs and Great Dane and stuff like that. I'm loving the range. She has the range, she has the variety. When it comes to cats, I like cats a lot. I think that the biggest turnoff for me is the allergicism of it all. But when it comes to cats, it's like, okay, so there's Siamese cats. I remember the Siamese cats because there was a racist stereotype or the Aristocats where they made the Siamese cats be Chinese, and they were playing the piano with chopsticks. The way I could literally recreate that right now, I'm not gonna do that, but they were playing the pianos with chopsticks, and I think they were saying, "We are Chinese if you please," or we are Siamese if you please, and they had slanted eyes and stuff. What was I even talking about? Oh, right. So there's Siamese cats, tabby cats, ragdoll cats, calico cats. And then that's all that I can really name before I have to start venturing into different, you know, like panthers and lions and tigers, oh my, right? But those aren't domesticated as far as I'm concerned. You know, in the Aristocats, I wonder why they made the Asian stereotype with Siamese cats. Is it because it sounds like Chinese? Or are Siamese cats like truly Asian? I'm gonna look up Siamese cats ethnicity. That doesn't make any sense. Siamese, where are Siamese cats from? Thailand. So they shouldn't have been saying, I guess it does still apply. It does still apply because they were saying, we are Siamese, if you please. They weren't saying we are Chinese or Japanese, if you please. Well, actually, they should not have said, we are Thai, if you please, because then that would have just been super overt racism. Let's move on. If I were a kangaroo, I feel like the other kangaroos wouldn't like me as much because I would not utilize my pouch. I would still use a tote bag because they are cute and go well with my outfits. I don't want to reach into my own pouch for chapstick, right? This is me saying as if I were some kangaroo human hybrid and we were all living as kangaroo human hybrids. Obviously, a real kangaroo does not have its own fashion sense as far as I'm concerned, right? I don't think kangaroos really have their own retail Forever 21 H&Ms at the San Diego Zoo or wherever they're populated, Australia. But I feel like if we were all living as like kangaroos with human interests, right? I would be similar to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in the way that he had a red nose. I have an empty pouch, right? Obviously, I'm not educated on kangaroos. There's probably male kangaroos who maybe don't have a pouch, but I would be like the I'm not like other girls type kangaroo, right? You guys are putting your makeup palettes and, you know, your iPod Nanos into your pouch. Well, I'm gonna use an entire external pouch. How about that? And listen, I know that kangaroos kind of have like sloped, not super angular shoulders. So it would essentially be like, you know, I would feel like I am constantly wearing, you know, my tote bag in the winter with my puffer that it's like constantly sliding down my shoulder, right? But the thing is, for the look, sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's worth it. And also, I'm sorry, I just think it's a little gross. I think it's a little gross to be reaching inside of my own pouch for loose change, for reaching inside of my, I mean, think about the things that you just happen to leave in your purse, right? I'll open a purse that I haven't used in about a year and a half and there's Trident gum and a loose French fry in there, huh? What if I open my pouch that is attached to my body, mind you, and I find like loose lifesavers in there and, you know, a receipt from CVS, right? It's better to just keep that outside of the body. Outside of the body is what I'm thinking, right? I really, you know, something I appreciate about these types of videos is that they're kind of about almost nothing at all, but everything at once too. Oh, awesome. That's perfect. The thing about the cabinet that you have under the sink, okay, kerplunk ass noise. The thing that you have about the cabinet under the sink, it's no man's land. You just open the door, throw in a Tupperware, and it's like wherever it lands is honestly not my business. Let's see. So unfortunately, I do think that I confused this with my grocery list at one point because all this says is corn elote chips from Trader Joe's. Not sure if I wanted to expand upon that point or not, but that's all it says. Have you guys tried it? It's really, really good. Though it can be, sometimes you accidentally buy the ones that are not seasoned, and then it's just like you're eating, you know, a little bit more bland Fritos, right? You need to get the ones that are actually seasoned. Yeah, so I think that I accidentally thought this was my grocery list. Next real thing that I have written down. I have a fear that if I smelled bad, no one would tell me and I would just walk around polluting the air around me without knowing. I always, actually, I was just about to lie. I don't always say this. I maybe mentioned it once or twice to the people around me that I would rather know the truth than just silently be grossing everyone out the minute I step outside the door, right? Give me 1 second, I'm going to drain this water. It sounds like peaceful green noise, right? Peaceful, or, you know, POV, you're at Niagara. Well, the stream is not nearly as strong now, so that was more like POV, you're at, you know, some local stream in a random ass place in Utah, right? All right, so my noodles are all boiled. Also, real quick, if you feel like I'm like hunched over and like lowering myself, it's because I am. This is my normal, well, I guess I'm still in frame, but this is me standing up straight, but I have to be very careful with my tripod because I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but the camera that I use, which I will be getting a new one. I know a lot of you are singing, you know, your Hail Marys or whatever. Hail Mary is a bad thing. That means that you did something bad, I think. The hole for me to insert the screw part of my tripod into it, I have literally run that shit smooth. I feel like I have already said this, but my camera balances on my tripod now. It's not screwed in. It's literally in front of me right now with good vibes and a prayer, okay? So that's why I'm afraid to touch it. So that's why I'm just making myself fit into the frame instead of actually fixing my camera. Anyways, so I made myself noodles. I'm gonna use the spicy sauce, but I only use a little bit, first of all, because it is quite spicy, but also, I'm not gonna lie, y'all, this shit hurts my stomach. It does hurt my stomach, but I bought it, so I want to eat it, right? That's a great lesson in not wasting your money. If you bought something, even if it makes you suffer, just do it. You already spent the money, you know? Soy sauce, sesame oil, rice vinegar, and then some of the spicy sauce. I was gonna put oyster sauce, but when I went to the store, oyster sauce was like $6. I was like, I think I have enough like high sodium things here, so I'll just settle for what I have for right now. Also, sorry I keep like doing things with my hair back and forth. I think that during these videos, I get really like, I get jittery. I get really jittery and I get really like hyper, like, I think because the whole day, or not the whole day, but the whole morning, I'm like gearing myself up to film, right? Today is the lights, camera, action. Today, you are going to balance your shitty camcorder onto your tripod that it can't even connect to. And we have to be entertaining. Dance monkey dance type thing, right? Okay, I'm going to make my concoction. My high sodium concoction that, well, if it does take a toll on my body, I won't know until later, so that's enough. That's enough. I barely, look how much is still left. I barely used any of it. I just don't, since I'm getting on this train, I don't want to have like a diarrhea attack, ideally. Now here comes one of the main parts of cooking, putting things away. Back to my point, if any of you guys have ever met me in real life, first of all, I apologize if I was awkward because I feel like that is a likely outcome. Second of all, if I smelled bad, if I had any sort of malodorous aura to me, comment down below how pungent it was. Was it super noticeable? Were you and your friends talking about it after? Did you post on your close friend's story? I just met this stinky YouTuber, you'll never guess who it is, right? Let me know. Alternatively, if I smelled good and I was really, really pleasant and you enjoyed your conversation with me, please comment that down below as well. Next thing. The Nickelodeon Choice Awards were wild. Why were we power washing celebrities with neon green goop? Here's the thing. I think the sensory feeling of being covered in that plasticky lime green goop, I would do it for the award, right? But then again, it's like a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award. It's not exactly a Golden Globe, right? For an Oscar, you could power wash me with piss, to be honest, and I would still take it. But a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award, I suppose at the end of the day, it is worth it, right? But I'm just thinking about Hang on, I want to sit down. All right, I'm going to transfer you very, very carefully because remember, like I said, this camcorder is not actually screwed into this tripod at all. Okay, here's my super, super plain ramen. First, I'll finish my point very quickly. When you are slimed at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, so you accept your award and then you go stage left, you exit stage left, and then what? Do you get hosed down? Do you have to bring like a whole separate outfit for the after party? I can't imagine that at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards after party, all the celebrities coming in looking like they're covered in Shrek's evidence, if you would like to call it that. You know, and we're all just waiting around at the open bar, you know, dripping Ghostbusters slime. I don't think that's the case, right? So yeah, I guess I'm just wondering the optics of it all. Do they even do that anymore? I don't think they do. I can't remember the last time I heard of a celebrity getting slimed. Now it's like they just get canceled or they get a gay role and their fans love it. Speaking of actors. Okay, first, let's take our first bite of our ramen that is nothing but noodles and has no substance to it, basically. I'm just trying to fill my stomach with something. And sometimes that's all you're capable of for the moment. Sometimes a well-balanced meal is not upon the horizon for you. Sometimes you just need to put something in your mouth. Yep, it's what I made. Remember that girl who ate her own tampon? I wonder how that diva is doing. She would have an insane ammo for 2 truths and a lie, right? I mean, I think that I feel like Charlie Bit My Finger, her and Charlie Bit My Finger, I feel like they were cultural resets. And also the girl who kept messing up when she was trying to sing that Whitney Houston song. Honestly, sorry, I just got water. Honestly, I think she was a bit ahead of her time. I feel like she was a bit ahead of her time. And the thing that I liked about her is that she was just doing it for fun. Back then, YouTube, you weren't making money off of it. Not that I presume, right? I think that video was maybe even a little before, like, being a YouTuber was a thing, right? She was doing it for the love of the game.
Hi, I'm editing and I'm just gonna say that, well, I was incorrect about a lot of this stuff. This happened in 2013 and there definitely were YouTubers in 2013, so just let me go on a little bit of an uneducated rant for a second. Thanks.
And another reason why I think she was a little ahead of her time, right? What she did, I feel like some feminist performance artist would do, right? For different reasons, right? I don't think the girl who originally did that was necessarily considering, you know, her actions in relation to the 19th Amendment, but who knows, right? But I feel like nowadays, with the free bleeding movement and all of these things, if I saw a woman, or girl, who knows, chomping on her own bleep pawn, tampon is not a bad word, actually, so don't know why I'm censoring it. If I saw a girl chomping on her own tampon like rock candy, would I be shocked? Yeah, of course. Not entirely, because obviously there's an original. You can't outdo the doer. But it also would track, right? It would track. But for her, she was the first one of a kind to do it. I'm just wondering how you're doing. If you're watching this, how are you? Is this something that haunts you? Is it like a party trick that you do, you know, at gatherings? You know, you say, hey, I'm about to go to the bathroom. Do any of you guys want to come with? I have something to show you, right? And obviously, wait, sorry, let me be clear. I know that it's fake, or I'm presuming that it's fake. I don't think that she actually put a used sanitary tool near her mouth and face, right? I'm thinking she probably just like I don't know, soaked it in Kool-Aid or drew on it with a Sharpie or something. But it's intent versus impact, right? Sorry, I feel like I've been talking about her for a while. But it's interesting the things that used to go viral back then. Because first of all, going viral, it was way more of like an isolated incident, where now I feel like, hey, what time is it? It's 2 p.m. I'm sure at least 150 people have gone viral on TikTok by now, right? Remember when Subway got in trouble because their foot-long sub was 11 inches instead of 12? When the workers saw a customer whip out a ruler to make sure they got every inch, they must have been like, damn. But honestly, good for that customer. Good for that customer. Because why? Subway was acting like a man on Hinge, right? Deducting inches to the public eye. Because if I'm paying for a foot long, ideally I would like it to be a foot long, right? Is missing out on that 1 inch going to make me completely dissatisfied in my experience of eating a sandwich? Probably not, but it's the principle. Also, just goes to show how much inflation has its dirty, moldy little claws digging into our back like we're, you know, like they're Anastasia and we're Christian Grey, right? $5 for a foot-long sandwich sounds absolutely ludicrous to me now. The fact that we were able to get even 11 and even 10 inches, the fact that we were able to get a 10 to 12 inch sandwich for $5, that is, I mean, we used to be a proper country. I'm gonna Google how much a foot-long sandwich costs now. Imagine it's still $5 and I just like went on that whole rant for nothing. How much is a foot-long sub at Subway? Okay, I'm on Subway's. I hate when they're always asking me about the cookies. The cookies, the cookies, the cookies. Do I look like a fucking baker? I don't want any of the cookies. Just leave me alone. Oh, now I have to go and settle this cookie nonsense. Reject all. Okay, let's see. Okay, I guess Subway is selling personal pizzas now. What? So it looks like they're having a deal right now. It sounds like I'm like sponsoring them. Subway now has a great deal where you can get a 6-inch sub with chips and a drink for $6.99. And you can add $3 to make it a foot long. So that's still good, right? That's still good. So basically that is $10 plus tax and tip and all of that stuff for a foot long with a drink and chips. Okay, I digress. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Because here where I live, you can pay for a donut and somehow it's $8. You get a drink at your local coffee shop and all of a sudden I just spent $11 on a chai for some reason. I paid $20 for an acai bowl the other day. I'm still feeling the sting from that. Sorry, sometimes I don't know how much to keep in of me just eating, because I know some people like that, but I mean, I call these my yapping videos, right? Not my chewing and masticating videos. Masticating means chewing, not anything else that might sound similar to that word, right? I'm going to open a really bad Chinese restaurant that makes my ancestors extremely disappointed in me and call it the Walk of Shame. Great. Thank you for that dad joke. But sometimes, there was one time that I had Panda Express, and sometimes Americanized Chinese food, like the Chinese food that you get from the mall, sometimes it really does just hit, and I almost feel bad. I almost feel bad for liking it, because I'm like, I think I sometimes feel this like need to prove myself as a Chinese person or as an Asian person or as a Taiwanese person, right? Because I am so Americanized. Grew up around so many white people that when I do eat Americanized Chinese food, I feel like I need to like spit it out and flip over the table and say, this is a diabolical
dishonor to my family and this and that. But then people would just turn around and look at me and say, well, first of all, you are not native Chinese. Your parents aren't really even immigrants. So you're doing way too much right now. Just eat the PF Changs in peace and leave the rest of us alone, right? But then it's like this, and I think that's why that I started trying to learn Mandarin on my own, and I celebrate Chinese New Year, and tried to be involved with events and activities, even though like my family, we would celebrate it, just not in a super traditional Chinese way. Like our version of celebrating Chinese New Year was just like getting Chinese food. Like we weren't cooking a steamed fish or, you know, giving like red envelopes, sometimes, but not always, and stuff like that. So I felt this disconnect from my quote unquote culture, which isn't even my culture because I was born here or something. I don't know. Being American Chinese and being native Chinese are so different. Like I know if I went to China right now, I could so much as blink at someone and they'd be able to tell I was American, right? And a lot of the times when I go to Chinatown and I, you know, go up to the hostess or I go up to someone at the store or something like that, they'll just talk to me in English. And I'm like, well, how did you know that? You know, maybe they just assume because but this happened to me before where they'll talk to me in English, but then the next person behind me, they'll talk to them in Mandarin. And then I'm like, I guess I'm just giving a really American vibe, but I don't like that, right? I mean, if you just listen to my voice, I have probably the most American female voice you've ever heard in your life, right? But yeah, sorry. Sorry that I turned a dad joke into this whole spiel about my identity. But do any of you guys relate? Like, I feel like, obviously, outwardly, I am Asian, but you know what I wish? You know what I wish? And obviously, mom and dad, like, I love you guys. You didn't do anything wrong, but I wish that maybe you would have just forced me to do Chinese school, because I was in Chinese school for a little bit and I hated it so much because I didn't want to be Chinese. That sounds so bad, but if you're a person of color who grew up in a white surrounding, you know what I mean, right? Like, in my head back then, I'm like, why would I want to go to Chinese school? Being Chinese is already weird. Now I have to speak the language too. I don't want to do that. I just want to play Neopets and go on Pop Tropica. I think that if my mom were a little bit more of she did a great job. She did a great job raising me, clearly, right? Very successful, 2 very successful daughters. But if she were to have turned on the tiger momness a little bit more, I think that would be something I would appreciate now, although I maybe would have hated it in the moment. Like if my parents just forced me to go to Chinese school, and they would always say this too, so I cannot even blame them. They would always say, oh, speaking of the angel, my mom just texted me, but they would always say, you know, you're going to regret this when you're older. You're going to wish that you just stuck with this when you get older, because then you'll be bilingual. And then me being like 9 years old, I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? Bilingual. All I know is that I am trying to win hopscotch at recess today. You can't even win hopscotch. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I feel like I really want to try. I want to go to China. I want to go to Taiwan. I want to be a bit more active. But then it's also like, I also feel like I'm doing, I want those things, genuinely I do, but I also feel like there's a part of me who only wants that to prove something, right? To be like, hey, I'm not that Americanized, I've been to the motherland. Meanwhile, what is the connection I have to the motherland? It's just my face, right? I mean, my dad was born here and my mom was born in Taiwan. So, but she moved here when she was a kid. So, I mean, technically, yes, my mom is an immigrant, but she doesn't speak Taiwanese. She's very not, you know, necessarily super connected with that. I think I'm going to stop talking about this now. I think I've gone on about it long enough. But if any of you guys relate, I don't know, I guess just we can talk amongst ourselves. Also, okay, wait, I'm gonna do the secret code now. If you have watched this video and you are paying attention to this point, comment down below comment down below peppermint hot chocolate. Comment down below peppermint hot chocolate, and that will be the code that you guys actually watched the video. And I realize that this actually is not effective at all because people will just see what other people are commenting and then they know what the secret code is. But I don't know. I just think it's cute when I say the secret code and then I see all the comments rolling in that say like, I don't know, Hedwig's tuft of hair or whatever the heck I said. Okay, I have to go like pretty soon, so I'm only gonna say one or two more things. Okay, this says, I'm going to tweet Let It Be by Bebe Rexha is better than Let It Be by the Beatles and then just log out immediately and see what happens. Well, that's a nice sentiment, but I deleted Twitter, so I can't actually do that. But I guarantee that if I had done that, right, and I let the tweet simmer for maybe 2 days, right, and this happened to go viral, there would be at least, and I'm not joking, I'm making an earnest estimate, I think there would be at least 15 death threats within the comments, right? Not even necessarily directed at me, just, you know, amongst the group. I think getting rid of Twitter has been good. Has been good for me. Okay, well, here's the thing. I got rid of my public Twitter, and now I have a Twitter that has 0 followers and 0 following, and I just see to like keep up with what's going on, like all the stuff I know about like the Grammys and, you know, things that horrible orange Michelin man has been doing. You know, I will look at Twitter just to stay updated on certain things, whether it's politics or pop culture and things like that. But getting rid of my public Twitter, I don't know. It feels like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Twitter just is such a toxic place. I think to exist there at all, it does feel like a weight on your shoulders. And about 15 pounds would have been added to that weight if I were to have tweeted that about Bebe Rexha, right? No hate to Bebe Rexha, seems like a wonderful person, but I know that the people who really love the Beatles, I think because they were, you know, so revolutionary for their time and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised if I got, you know, the feds called on me. You know what else is interesting? I think it's interesting how you see people who were so huge, like the Beatles, or you know, Friends, the show that kind of like was this huge cultural staple and like all of this stuff. But now young people nowadays are like, they suck, boo, boring, they suck, right? Which is so crazy. Like, I wonder if the Beatles knew at one point they were on top of the world. I doubt that they would have ever thought that someone would, that a large majority of people would think that they were boring. I mean, they had women ready to give up their ribs to just be, you know, in the same vicinity as them. It's crazy. And I wonder who is going to be like that now. Like, I wonder if, I mean, God forbid this would ever happen, especially because, I mean, she just won Album of the Year. Obviously, her career is nowhere near over. But, and I'm not trying to compare the Beatles to Beyonce. I'm just trying to think of, like, another really big public figure who's super influential in the industry, right? Would there ever be a time where, like, people just don't care about Beyonce? You know? Or people are like... Because it used to be a thing where if you say Beyonce is overrated, you would get a hit put on you. But would that ever become a thing where it's popular opinion? You know, it's just so interesting to me how people's mindsets can change. Or even the whole, I don't want to say hate train, but maybe a little bit, at least on the sides of Twitter that I'm seeing. People really don't like that one musician, Benson Boone. And while I admit, yeah, like I've never listened to any of his songs. He seems like a nice guy who's like normal and a good singer. So I'm like, why does everyone hate this person? Or same thing with Tate McRae, where I'm just like, did they do something? Or is it just like people joining the bandwagon of hating something? Because sometimes they act like they are on an FBI wanted list.
But sometimes it just seems like their worst crime is, I guess, just being uninteresting to a large group of people. I don't know. I mean, what I will say is, Benson Boone, if you weren't a singer, you could be a gymnast. I saw that little backflip that you did. If I tried to do that, well, let's just say the Grammys would have to halt for a second to get a Chinese woman, I don't know why I said Chinese, but to get a woman to the hospital, right? There would be an ambulance slowly making its way down the red carpet. The tweets that I see about them just seem so hateful that I'm like, did Benson Boone like clip your grandmother in his Lamborghini or something? I don't really know. Maybe he did do something bad and I just really am not aware of it. And maybe Tate McRae did do something bad. I'm not trying to defend them if they did anything bad, I guess, but I'm just kind of like, why do people choose to like hate on people, I guess? Same thing with Ed Sheeran. Like, Ed Sheeran just all of a sudden got hate out of the blue, and like, he just seems like a nice guy. Like, is it because he's ginger? Then that can't be the case because Amy Adams is pretty beloved. Maybe they pick and choose? Okay, I've been filming for an hour and I do need to go soon. Last thing I'm gonna say. One time I was watching, oh, actually no, I'm not gonna say that one because it's too sexual. This is what I'm gonna say. I'm glad that my childhood was before the age of smartphones. I remember life without them, although I am also essentially an iPad baby with an education. Right. I think that the line between me and an iPad baby or Gen Alpha, who are like still developing their brains in school right now, it was a very, very small margin, like a decade or two. And maybe for some of you, you're like, a decade or two is a long fucking time. But in the grand scheme of the world, a decade or two is a blip in time when I'm talking about from like, you know, the Neanderthals all the way to AI, right? I could have been an iPad baby. I could have been an iPad baby. The only thing saving me was divine intervention, right? But even though we're like, oh, these kids are so addicted. Like, we literally sound like boomers sometimes, right? Where it's like, these kids are so addicted to their phone and TikTok is ruining their attention span and they're doing so poorly in school and da-da-da-da. Which all of those things have merit because, I mean, we literally, I probably will be a little bit until we can say things definitively, but from the anecdotes we hear from teachers, from certain statistics we already have, yes, that those things are true, right? But what I will say is that I am no better than Gen Alpha in some ways because I am also addicted to my phone. My work is my phone. Technically, my shitty camcorder is my work, but you know what I'm trying to say. Social media is my livelihood. I'm just as addicted to my phone as anyone else, right? And some people might be like, okay, well then you're like an exception because your work is on your phone. No, like even people who are my age who work in finance or who work in retail are also addicted to their phones, right? The only reason that we separate ourselves from Gen Alpha is because we didn't have the resources or tools to be doing it in school, right? I'm sure that if we were in their position, we would be doing the same shit that they're doing, right? I don't think that if I were in Gen Alpha right now and I were in school, I don't think that I would stand up and say, I think that we actually need to ban iPads. I know better than all of you. No, I would probably be in the back watching Cocomelon or doing whatever they're doing and inhaling secondhand, you know, grape vape smoke from the rest of you. And yeah, I just know if I have a kid, which I will not, sorry, we'll see. Oh, wait, this is maybe a little personal. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but there's been things where I'm wondering if maybe kids could be in my future, right? Not that I want that right now. I'm just trying to test the waters and see if that could be a possibility for my future. So if I do have kids, I'm sorry, and maybe once I actually give birth and that kid will not shut the hell up, I will just shove an iPad in front of it. But I would really, really try not to give him or her, they, an iPad or a Nintendo Switch or this or that. I feel like I would literally want to give them one of those phones where it's like, there's 2 buttons where it's like, call mommy and call daddy, call 911, right? Except I'm lesbian, so it would be call mommy, and then I would cross out the daddy part and then put mommy 2 under it. So call mommy too, call the fucking cops, right? And another reason I don't think I want to have kids, sorry, I'm going to be done soon. I was watching Law and Order with my roommate last night, and God bless my roommate, I literally love her, and God bless all who watch Law and Order. There's a reason that show has been on for 47,000 seasons, right? I don't know how people watch that for enjoyment. I guess it's similar to true crime, right? But I was watching it, and there was an episode last night where the child got kidnapped, and then they showed like the ransom video of the kid, like, and he's like tied to a pole, and the guy is like recording the kid, and he's like, help mommy, like just do what he says because he's gonna hurt me and this or that. If I received that video as a mother, like I'm putting myself in the shoes of like, if something happened to my child, right? I cannot even imagine the agony of like, I get mad when they run out of cauliflower and gnocchi at Trader Joe's. I can't imagine the pain and anguish of having something harm your child. And maybe that's selfish of me to be like, I just want to spare myself of that pain or whatever. But that's another thing. I think if I were a mom, I would be so insanely anxious all of the time, and I wouldn't want my kid to have sleepover because if I don't know their parents, like what if the dad is a creep, or what if they have a gun, or what if like all these things. I'm getting myself worked up just thinking about it. I don't think I'm made for motherhood. I think that I was a good nanny. I think that I would be a killer aunt. But when it comes to motherhood, I just don't know. And I think that I have a lot of goals for myself that's just a kid. I don't know how that fit in there, you know, because having a kid is such a 24/7 thing, right? If I happen to get further, you know, with years and years and years of work, if I happen to get further in my acting career or in my like being in the public eye, just like with YouTube and my videos and things that I make and write and stuff like that, if I get further there, what, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'll try to pencil in burping my infant in between these photo shoots. Huh? I would rather just not have the kid. I don't think I'm supposed to be a mother. I don't think a mother would talk like this. I don't think a mother would talk like this. I mean, who knows? I guess maybe I could have a change of heart. It depends. I mean, hey, I always went on and on and on talking about how I never wanted to be in a relationship and how I thought, you know, fuck love, you know, Cupid is a terrorist. You know, I think, hey, who knows? Who knows? And cheers to that. Anyways, okay, scheisse, I have to go now. I hope you all enjoyed this video. It was nice to just sit and chat. I feel like I had a lot of things that I wanted to say, apparently. But yeah, good yapping video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I honestly really like doing these videos. I know I say that, I feel like I say that every single time I film these videos. Every single time I end the video, I'm like, you know, I actually really like doing this. No shit, honey. Okay. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Peppermint hot chocolate. Peppermint hot chocolate, if you know, you know. Okay. Until next time.